Hello everybody and welcome to another tips and tricks video. Today we're going to be talking about an idea group that has had a recent nerf. That idea group would be religious ideas. Now, when you talk to most people about religious ideas and you ask them, well, what's the benefit of religious ideas? They immediately go to Dea's fault. And I'm not joking when I say all people talk about is Dea's vault. It's kind of ridiculous, It's kind of like when you hear somebody talk about quality ideas and all they talk about is modern firearm techniques. Is that the only benefit? Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, no, not really. Religious ideas is an incredibly powerful idea group. As is humanist, and their focus, for the most part, is preventing rebellions or getting rid of rebels. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like this. You can really use almost any idea group for several different, benefits. You could say diplomatic ideas is better for annexing several nations at once because of, diplomatic relations +1, diplomats +1, and diplomatic reputation +2, right? Or you could say that diplomatic ideas is better for getting allies because of the exact same ideas, right? Well, religious ideas and humanist are both best suited for preventing rebellions or getting rid of rebels. Now, Dea's Vault was a big bonus to religious ideas. It was basically an early imperialism, an early special imperialism, because you can only use it on nations that aren't the same religion as you, right? Now, when religious ideas got its nerf, a lot of people said that they are no longer going to pick religious ideas. It's going to be all humanists now. And I don't think they give religious ideas enough credit, especially when it comes to rapid expansion. Now, the biggest plus for religious ideas is tolerance of the true faith +1, which is much more powerful than tolerance of heretics or tolerance of heathens that you get from humanist ideas. Another thing that religious ideas does, obviously, is make it easier to convert provinces, which makes the tolerance of the true faith even stronger, right? You get an extra missionary, +3% missionary strength, and +2% missionary strength versus heretics. You also get, a little prestige bonus and whatnot, but when it comes to choosing between these two idea groups, you shouldn't necessarily look at it as, would you rather convert or not convert? You should really look at it as how fast are you planning to expand, right? Because religious ideas helps you expand exponentially quickly. I mean, when you get to a point where you are going on a world conquest, when you're really blobbing, right? And you get yourself up to 100% aggressive expansion, maybe even higher, maybe 150% aggressive expansion, let's say. And that's not preposterous. It happens a lot. I actually like to go over 100% aggressive expansion when I'm blobbing, world conquest style. You start to notice that the tolerance of heathens and heretics stops really being that useful, because provinces with the wrong religion will rebel much faster than provinces that have the true faith, right? And that's what's going to stop you from moving forward. When you're expanding past 100% aggressive expansion, the time that you need to stop is when, large amounts of your empire are gaining unrest, right? And typically, when you have religious ideas, you can say an area with the right religion, the wrong culture, when they have unrest, that's when you need to slow down and start coring provinces before you move anymore. But with humanists, you have to look at a province that has the wrong religion and the wrong culture to tell whether or not you need to stop. And you will notice that they will pop up much faster, right? Now, another thing about religious ideas that people kind of skip over, people will tell you that you need to take religious ideas when you're surrounded by different religions, right? Taking religious ideas in Europe just wouldn't really help when everyone's Catholic, right? But I don't think that's necessarily true either. And once again, I bring up tolerance of the true faith. With tolerance of the true faith, especially in an area where all the religions are the same, you don't have to convert them, and they already, as soon as you take them, they already have the bonus of tolerance of the true faith, right? And at the same time, the tolerance of heretics and tolerance of heathens, well, they won't benefit you either. So, then what's the point of taking humanist in an area that's surrounded by the same religion? You know what I mean? Now, another thing that people will bring up is they'll say that once you have imperialism, Deus Vult no longer becomes useful, no longer becomes worth it. But I think that's wrong. If you're fighting against, let's say, Russia, the Timurids, Ming, any nation that's big, getting to the capital can be an incredibly daunting task, and in some cases it can be nearly impossible, right? And imperialism, to get the ticking war score, you have to take the enemy's capital. Otherwise, you're going to be taking a minus 25% to war score, which is really bad, right? You can get a 100% war score and still only actually have 75% because you never took the capital. And obviously, if you have 100%, you're going to take the capital, but it kind of gives you an idea of how important it is to get that ticking war score, or at least to put it to 0, right? If not, be able to put it all the way to plus 25, right? And Deus Vult requires you to win battles rather than take a capital, right? So if you're playing as like Brandenburg, religious ideas, the Deus Vult can become incredibly powerful. Now, obviously, you're not really going to be able to use it much if you got it early game as Brandenburg, because you do need the nation to be a different religion than you, which is why it's kind of more of a special version of imperialism, Now, there are some exceptions to religious ideas being better. I would say before the nerf, 9 times out of 10 you should take religious ideas. After Deus Vult got moved to the back, however, I would drop it maybe, about 70% of the time. I would say religious ideas is going to be better. When would you rather take humanists, though, right? If you're not really planning on massive expansion, humanist ideas is pretty good, right? Because you can take a couple provinces and not have to deal with the rebels at all. If you're really bad at dealing with rebels, then humanist ideas is good. But if you just want to deal with them and never have to deal with them again, then religious ideas is better. Now, there are some nations where humanist is much more powerful than religious. You might wonder why I have the Timurids selected. Now, the Timurids are an example of a nation where it is better to have humanist ideas. The Timurids start out with a tradition that gives them minus 5 years of separatism. And when you add that with the humanist minus 10 years of separatism, you have the max amount of negative separatism, right? Which is rather powerful. Now, even when you play the Timurids and you decide to take pieces of Delhi and Moulton and John Poor, and you form the Mughal Empire, humanist ideas is still a better idea group to have. And the reason for this is because the Mughals have an idea that gives you extra tolerance of heathens, right? And when you add that to the humanist ideas tolerance of heathens, you find that you have the max tolerance of heathens, which is very strong, right? Still, not necessarily as strong as having as much tolerance of the true faith as possible, but it's still incredibly powerful. Now, there are several nations where you would never want to take humanist. If you're playing as Byzantium, for example, Byzantium has in their tradition is extra tolerance of the true faith. When you add that with religious ideas tolerant of the true faith, your Orthodox provinces will pretty much never rebel, right? Which is pretty awesome. And on top of that, their last national idea is +3 missionary strength. And, I mean, you will find yourself converting Rome incredibly fast. You'll be converting Mecca incredibly fast. And these are things that, you know, if you were to take humanists, you simply wouldn't be able to do at such a speed, right? Now, with that said, I'm not going to, I'm not trying to down-talk humanist ideas. It's obviously an incredibly powerful idea group. I mean, the first two ideas are incredibly powerful. The religious unity plus 25% and the national unrest -2 is very strong. I mean, almost everything in here is some sort of bonus, but almost everything in humanist is a pretty strong bonus. The only two that aren't that great, I would say, would be the max promoted cultures. I mean, I just don't really promote cultures that often. I would rather save my diplomatic points for annexing vassals. And then improved relations plus 30%. Okay, well that's alright, but I mean, I would rather have a stronger diplomatic reputation than improved relations, right? And there's a couple of ideas within religious ideas that aren't that great. You know, stability cost modifier minus 25%. That's okay. I don't really normally boost stability unless it's -1, right? And then you have, yearly prestige +1. Okay, that's not bad. It helps prestige not decay as much, but oftentimes, if you know how to prestige farm, you're not really going to be worried about that. I mean, stacking tons of yearly prestige modifiers makes it where you don't have to prestige farm, but it's not that hard to do. Just, do things like cancel rivalries after war, stuff like that. It's rather, you don't really need this idea to do it. Now, like I said, this isn't a video trying to trash talk humanist ideas, but it's certainly a video trying to defend religious ideas a little bit. Obviously, with different nations and different areas, you're going to have different situations where religious or humanists may be stronger than the other one. But, like I said, don't just throw away religious ideas because Deus Vult got moved to the back. Just because every player who doesn't know what they're talking about just repeats Deus Vult over and over and over again doesn't mean that it's the only positive to religious ideas. And at the same time, just because people talk about tolerance of heretics and heathens for humanists doesn't mean that those are the only pluses, right? I guess the main point of this video is to look a little bit deeper into the idea groups and into each idea rather than just toss them off to the side because one idea got moved, right? Anyways, thank you very much for watching. I hope, this taught you something. And if you want more content, go ahead and give me a subscribe. If you like the video, go ahead and give me a like. And I'll have to see you in the next one.